now that we've looked at how to describe a scatter plot using the form, direction, strength, and the unexpected or outliers, there are 2 scatter plots on your graph for you to go ahead and practice those skills. So identify that form, direction, strength, and unexpected, as well as write the direction into a sentence. So you have that sentence on your notes, and it goes something like, if it's an uphill or positive direction, you would say, as the x variable increases, and you'd use whatever is the x variable, the y variable tends to increase. If you have a downhill slope, so a negative direction, you would say, as the x variable increases, the y variable tends to decrease. So you're going to fill those in with what the x and y variable actually are, and then the correct choice for increases or decreases at the end of the sentence. So go ahead and pause the video, give these 2 a try. You have the beach visitors and then one about reading signs and driving distance. So give those a try and then we'll go through them. All right, so the beach visitors, the form, I would say that this is linear. I feel like I could draw a straight line through there fairly easily, so it's roughly linear. Definitely appears uphill, so I would say that the direction is positive. The strength here, so the dots aren't perfectly lined up, but they're fairly tight, so moderate to strong, somewhere in there would probably be pretty good. And then the unexpected. There aren't any clusters here, but there is a likely outlier here. And I've circled that here, about 87 degrees and maybe 130 visitors or so. And so one of the things that you want to do whenever there's an outlier is look into it and investigate what happened. So maybe there was a big event in town that day, and so very few people went to the beach. Maybe there was bad weather or a red tide or a shark sighting, or gosh, heaven forbid, a murder on the beach. The beach was closed. Right? So there's any number of reasons that that could be there. And so investigating that and deciding whether you should keep that point or not is really important to the research. Right, and then for this sentence that describes the direction, so we decided this was positive, so it's going uphill. And so that sentence is going to be as x, so x is the temperature, so as the temperature increases, the number of visitors also tends to increase. Okay, so we put that word tends in there. It's not a guarantee, but it does tend to increase. Right, and then the next one, the age, and then the distance to read a road sign for a driver. The form on this one, so this one is a little more scattered than the last one, so it's semi-linear. I could definitely still put a line through there. It's a little more difficult. This one is going downhill, so that makes the direction negative. The strength. So this one is definitely more spread out. So I'd say moderate to weak here, probably more on the moderate side. If it was weaker, I'd expect to be a little more cloudy and spread out if it was weak, but moderate to weak. And then unexpected. So the weaker the strength is, the harder it is to figure out the unexpected because there's not really a strong pattern to start with, which means there aren't really clear outliers. But there is at least one here potentially that I circled. It's possible it's 76 years old and about 460 feet. That one is potentially an outlier. And removing it would make it easier to draw the line, which is kind of how I figure these out. Like, oh, if I took this point out, would it make it easier for me to draw the line? And that's at least how I eyeball or guesstimate which ones are outliers. All right, and then the sentence for this one. So this one is negative, it's going downhill. And so what I want to say for that sentence is as x, so as the driver's age increases, the max distance to read the sign tends to decrease. So in other words, the older you get, the closer you have to get to the sign to be able to read it. And that should make some intuitive sense. So hopefully that's given you a good chance to practice how to describe that scatter plot with the 4 details, as well as how to write that sentence that describes the trend.